What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of After the Buzzer. We did not upload the past 2 days, maybe 3, I'm not too sure. So we're going to be going over Wednesday and Thursday's games. And then we have the Sixers and Hawks actually playing right now, and it's halftime. So, starting off with Wednesday's games, Wednesday's game, we only had one, being the Nuggets and Suns. Game number 2. Now, the Suns were leading throughout the first, throughout the second, and they just carried it on throughout the whole entire second half and just the whole entire game. Chris Paul, being the point guard that he is, 17 points, 15 assists, in 5 rebounds. He was just, like I said, being the point guard that he is, leading this team. It wasn't even in scoring. It had 17 points. He was second on the team with D-Book right ahead with 18 points. But just Chris Paul with 15 assists, that's just kind of crazy. Off the bench, it was Torrey Craig who basically led the bench scoring. And then, I mean, even you don't even have to have that many points, but just in total, you have Kaminsky with 5, then Sarge with 8, Johnson, Payne, and Etuan Moore each with 7, and then just in total, this bench team is just really, really good at scoring. But, I mean, like I said, Chris Paul and Devin Booker leading the way. DeAndre Ayton had 15 and 10, another double-double for him. He's been stepping up in these playoffs versus the Lakers team and this Nuggets team, and considering he's going against Jokic in the post. He was going against AD in the first round, at least for most of the series, and now with Jokic in the second round. He's been doing really, really well for a player who's never been to the playoffs before, was just drafted less than 5 years ago. And Mikal Bridges kind of struggled. He still ended up with 16 points. And also, he's not really, you don't see it in the stat sheet like I always say, but he's always a good defender out there, guarding whoever he could, getting blocks on anybody, and just getting steals. I mean, we can look at, he did not have any steals or blocks this game, but if we look at the game 1 stats, then he definitely did. And Crowder was a big help, 4 for 5 from field, and 75% from the 3-point line. And it was just a blowout. 123-98 was the final score. 25-point win for Phoenix here, as Jokic had 24. Other than that, really nobody stepped up at all. Michael Porter Jr. struggled. Aaron Gordon struggled. Campazzo and Austin Rivers struggled. Nobody off the bench could really get it going. Will Barton and Paul Millsap each had about 10 each. But other than that, it was basically just Jokic doing the job. Of course, he's the guy who's I'm expecting to do most of the jobs. Considering he's the league MVP. But I would still expect some guys like Michael Porter Jr., who's supposed to take a huge jump with Jamal Murray out. So I kind of expect him to do better in these upcoming games. But Phoenix taking a commanding 2-0 lead. Next up, we have the Nets and Bucks. I probably should have started out with this game, considering it was probably the most entertaining. And the Nuggets and Suns game number 2 is probably the least entertaining out of these 3. But dude, Bucks and Nets was freaking insane. And just major credit to the Nets for staying in this game defensively and, not really offensively. Of course, no James Harden once again for this Brooklyn team in game number 3, as he's been out basically the whole entire series, was injured 15 seconds into game 1, hasn't even played since. But we look at this Nets team, and they've only got scoring. Really no defense other than maybe guys like Claxton, Bruce Brown, who you can throw out there. But they only had 83 points at the end of this game. 83. How many points in the first quarter? 11. 11 points in the first quarter. And, if you're supposed to be the top scoring team in the league, the top offensive team in the league, and the lowest defensive team in the league, you cannot only score 83 points in a game. And considering that the Bucks only had 86 points in this game against possibly the worst defense in the league, it shows that it was a defensive game, and the Nets were actually playing defense this game, which is great for them. But the Bucks just can't put up 86 points against this team, and although we'll just get to the game. It was late in the fourth, right? Nets are down 1, and Bruce Brown, for some reason, gets the ball. He goes into the lane, completely is off with the left-hand layup, and now the Nets, of course, have to foul. I think Middleton makes both free throws, and with down 3, KD gets the ball double teamed, and it throws it up from a deep, deep three, like Trae Young range, Dame range, and it back rims out. It was a really close shot, if I'm being honest, though. But the Bucks able to take this game by 3, 86-83, and Brooklyn took the first 2 games on their home floor, and now Milwaukee wins on their home floor. Of course, Game 4 is again in Milwaukee, so it would be interesting to see if Milwaukee can tie the series up after being down 2-0. And but the Nets have got to step up offensively. They did a good job defensively, containing Giannis, although Giannis did still end up with 33 points and 14 rebounds. But I'm also starting to think that most of the shots that he missed were part of, mostly being 1 for 8 from the 3-point line. And one of the threes that he hit were one of the most important threes of the game. But still, you can't really be shooting 1 for 8 from the free throw line. Especially if you're a point guard, maybe. But if you're a power forward, you shouldn't really be shooting that much. Middleton finally found his groove. He had 35 points, 50 rebounds, 15 not 50, and Lopez struggled, Holiday struggled, but Drew Holiday, he only had 9 points, but 2 of those points were the game tying points to, or maybe give them a lead. I'm not too sure what it was, but Drew Holiday came up clutch tonight for Milwaukee. He was basically the one that gave them the win. Not a buzzer beater or anything, but clutch points late in the game. Harris struggled from the field. Bruce Brown struggled, but he still had 16 and 11. Kyrie Irving had 22, and KD had 30. Other than that, nobody really else. The only 3 guys coming off the bench being Claxton, who only had 2, Mike James, who only had 2, Shamit, who only had 3, and it was literally. I'm looking at this right now, right? You have Shamit and Joe Harris, each who only had 3 points. Claxton and James only had 4 points, and just between those 5 players out of only 8 who played, that's only a total. No, actually, sorry, because Blake Griffin also only scored 5. So out of those 5 players, that's only 8, 10, 12, 15 points out of those 5 players. And then you have Bruce Brown with 16, then Irving with 22, KD with 30. But 83 points is unacceptable for this team who's supposed to be the best offensively skilled team in the league. They just cannot be getting close games like that. But Milwaukee, it'll be interesting to see if they can actually possibly make a comeback and come back from 2-0. And last but not least, Jazz versus Clippers. Now, it was a close game throughout the first. The Jazz had a huge lead at halftime by about 13 points, I want to say. Clippers kind of rallied back in the third. They also kind of rallied back in the fourth, but the Jazz were able to hold on 117-111 to take a 2-0 series lead over the team who I had going to the finals. Of course, we saw in this first round that the Clippers were able to come back from a 2-0 deficit by Dallas, who ended up losing in 7. And now the Jazz are up 2-0 versus this Los Angeles Clippers team, the only Los Angeles team left in the playoffs. And but it's a different case. I mean, you look at threats with Dallas. You only have Luka Doncic, considering how Kristaps Porzingis was playing that series. Tim Hardaway Jr. kind of choked some of the games in that series too. But you look at Dallas. I mean, you look at Utah. They have guys like Ingles, Clarkson, Donovan, Rudy Gobert, who won't really choke like KP. And I know I'm forgetting somebody too. Mitchell is obviously insane. You have Ingles, Clarkson, Bogdanovich, Gobert, and I don't know, but literally just everybody on the team. Donovan Mitchell, of course, him being him, drops 37 just casually. Clarkson with 24 off the bench, like I said. Ingles with 19. Rudy Gobert with 13 points and 20 rebounds. And then Bogdanovich with 16. Like I said, this team is just so skilled defensively and offensively. Kawhi with 21, Reggie Jackson with 29 led the team, and Paul George with 27. Reggie Jackson went on this insane spree in the fourth quarter, but it was not enough. Kawhi's got to step up, I think. You see Paul George with 27, that's good, but 2 for 6 from three-point line, maybe not the best. Adding on 8 for 18 from the field, it's not too great. Kawhi with only 21, he's got to step up if he wants to make it to the Western Conference Finals, because I have this team going to the finals, and I would love for Utah to go to the finals. But if we look at the age of this Utah team, I mean, most guys are kind of older, but if we look at Donovan Mitchell, I think Utah probably has a better chance of winning the finals next year than the Clippers do. So I would love to see the Clippers maybe try to possibly win it this year, considering that, like, I know that I have Philly winning the championship, but I mean, you look at their team, they still have Embiid and Simmons, who are literally under 26 years old. While this Clippers team, I mean, Kawhi and PG are both over 30, so I would love for them to win it now and Embiid and Simmons to develop and have a better chance when they're older. But obviously, I don't make the rules. But yeah, the Suns take a commanding 2-0 lead over Denver, while the Bucks take a 2-1 lead in a very low-scoring game over the Nets. Or sorry, they only are down 2-1. Jazz take a commanding 2-0 lead over the Clippers. And, I mean, the Sixers and Hawks, it was a very close game at halftime, but the Sixers are kind of destroying them in the third quarter now, so that's a thing. And we also have Suns Nuggets game number 3 tonight, so that'll be fun to see if the Suns can basically close this series out, or if the Nuggets can pull a Clippers and not go down 3-0. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.